Dear friends, Mr. D.V. Rao is a senior jurist with a standing of 25 years, both at the High Court and Supreme Court. He is known for his PILs, the public interest list. He will also, and he is almost like a crusader, and he has so many files to his credit. He is a very well acknowledged person in the High Court of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh also. Since he happens to be a good friend of mine, I requested him to deliver 2-3 lectures for our students, particularly the 5-6 years judicial activism is very much in the newspapers, and it is very much discussed also. So I request D.V. Rao Garu to kindly deliver his lecture on the judiciary in India. Please, Rao Garu.
Thank you very much, Padma Rao, sir. Shall I start, sir?
Yes, sir.
Please, please.
We are honored to have
Good
you
evening,
here.
all of you. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much, madam. Good evening, all of you. Judicial activism in India. Actually, it is a lengthy chapter as well as very important to the aspirants of IAS, more particularly for the students of UPSC prelims, because it is a good scoring chapter also. Generally, to complete this chapter in detailed manner, 100 hours are required. But now it is very difficult to get 100 hours to complete this chapter. So first we have to select the key topics from this chapter. What are the key topics from this chapter? That is very much important to cover the maximum syllabus within the shortest period. On my observation, the key topics from this chapter are, first one is relevant terms and expressions. What are the relevant terms and what are the expressions, as well as relevant articles related to this judicial activism in India. However, related case laws, those are also very important, because when I observe the questions from this chapter at different years question papers, that what I notice means the questions from articles as well as the questions from relevant case laws as well as the questions from the different topics are repeatedly coming for this UPSC prelims examination. So first, let me say the key topics from this chapter. First one, relevant terms and expressions. Second one, general role of judiciary. What is the general role of judiciary is also one of the important key topics in this judicial activism. And the third one is idea of framers of the Constitution of India. And the fourth one is reasons for judicial activism. What are the reasons for judicial activism? And next one is reasons for emergence of public interest litigation in India. And another important topic is socio-economic justice and the role of public interest litigation. After that, uniform civil code, and the role of Supreme Court of India, and then curative petitions, as well as complete justice, and the role of judicial activism in unearthing black money, followed by relevant case laws, as I told you, as well as the selective questions are the model questions from this chapter. These are the key topics. So instead of sitting and giving the lecture on this, it is better to go before the blackboard. I will come there. You please wait. Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
So here, relevant terms and expressions. What are the relevant terms and expressions? First one is judicial review. What is judicial review? And what is judicial restraint? What is judicial activism? What is the difference between the judicial review and judicial activism? And what is judicial power? And what is judicial policy making? And what is the meaning of constitutionalism? And what is meant by separation of powers? And what is public interest litigation? These are the relevant terms and expressions from this chapter. First one, judicial review. Judicial review means, you know that according to Article 13, even though the legislature cannot pass the law against the fundamental rights of the citizens or against the basic structure of the Constitution of India, as well as it cannot pass any executive action or it cannot do any executive action against the fundamental rights of the citizens. So, if such action or such law passed by the legislature or such executive action has done by the state, then what to do? To whom we have to approach? Who has power to question the state? That is the question. So, to give solution to that, there is a process that is called as judicial review. That is called as judicial review. Under this judicial review, the judiciary will test the validity of the law passed by the legislature. As well as under this judicial review, the judiciary will test the executive action of the state. So, this is known as, this entire process is known as judicial review. So, to get it done means to seek judicial review from the judiciary, what we have to do? How we can approach the judiciary seeking the judicial review? For that, there is a procedure. if you are seeking the judicial review from the High Court, you have to file the writ petition under Article 226. If you want to get the judicial review by the Supreme Court of India, you have to file the writ petition under Article 32 before the Supreme Court of India. But here, this is very, very important point, that in judicial review, the affected person must approach the judicial by of writ petition seeking the judicial review. Means unless there is a petition before them, the judiciary will not do any type of judicial review. There must be some paper or there must be some petition which is called a writ petition. This is the process to get judicial review either from the High Court or from the Supreme Court. Next one, judicial restraint. Now I explain you about the judicial review. Now judicial restraint, because it is the second important term in this chapter, judicial activism. So judicial restraint means for the development of an individual or for the improvement of an organization, self-discipline or self-control is mandatory. As well as, even though the judiciary is one of the toughest organ of the state, even then the self-control is mandatory to the judiciary. So the judicial restraint means self-control exercised by the judiciary. Self-control exercised by the judiciary is called as judicial restraint. Is called as judicial restraint. Now the third one is judicial activism. What is judicial activism? Already I told you about the judicial review as well as judicial restraint. Then what is this judicial activism? That is today's topic or today's chapter. Judicial activism means nothing. It is an extension of judicial review. It is an extension of judicial review. Then already judicial review is there. Then what is the use with this judicial activism? Yes, there is a difference. What is the difference? Judicial review means, already I told you, unless there is a writ petition before the judiciary, judiciary cannot or will not do the judicial review. Means the affected person must approach the judiciary by way of writ petition seeking judicial review. But here in this judicial activism, the judiciary itself can file the writ petition, which is called as suo motu writ petition. Seeking the judicial review either in the interest of the judiciary or in the interest of the larger public or in the interest of the rights of the group of people. This is known as judicial activism. Means the person whose rights are affected, he can file the application or the writ petition before the judiciary seeking judicial redressal. But if the rights of the group of people or larger public affected, then the public spirited person or the public spirited organization can approach the judiciary seeking judicial review in the interest of the public, in the interest of the larger public, in the interest of the group of people. It is called as judicial activism. But is it possible? Because very few high courts are there, as well as only one Supreme Court of India is there in entire India. So can the judiciary concentrate? Can the judiciary do this job perfectly? Yes, it is very difficult to do so by way of suo motu writ petitions. Hence, in 1976, very firstly, public interest litigation was introduced in the Supreme Court of India. In the case of Mumbai Kamagar Sabha versus Abdul Tai. The case is related to Bonus Act something. So, what is this public interest litigation and what is the difference between the writ petition as well as the public interest litigation? Writ petition means the person whose rights are affected, he can approach the judiciary by way of writ petition seeking the judicial review. It is called as writ petition. It is either under Article 226 before the High Court or under Article 32 before the Supreme Court. But public interest litigation means any person, means public spirited person or any organization can approach or can file the same writ petition under Article 226 before the High Court or under Article 32 before the Supreme Court in the interest of the larger public or in the interest of the group of people. This is called a public interest litigation, and this is the difference between the public interest litigation as well as the writ petition. Writ petition means on behalf of the affected person. Public interest litigation means in the interest of the public. This is the difference between the writ petition as well as the public interest litigation. What is the first public interest litigation in India? That is very, very important question it is. Means already I told you that Mumbai Kamagar Sabha versus Abdul Tai's case is the first case in 1970, filed in 1976 before the Supreme Court of India, and it is for the public interest. It is for the public interest. But what is the? It is not in this case the judgment was not rendered. In some other case the judgment was rendered. What is the judgment? I will tell you at the end of this class, as the selective questions from this chapter. And the next one is judicial power. What is this judicial power? Judicial power means we know that the legislature as well as the executive and the judiciary are three major organs in the state or in the government. Being as one of the organs, the judiciary has some powers. So the powers used by the judiciary to protect the fundamental rights or to protect the various rights of its citizens is called as judicial power. Is called as judicial power. Recently, means just before, I told you about that suo motu writ petition. But suo motu contempt to use the judicial power, the judiciary will use the weapon in the name of sumoto contempt. Sumoto contempt. And the next one is judicial policy making. What is this judicial policy making? What is the difference between the judicial power and the judicial policy making? Judges do not merely declare the law. They can, means they are creators of law. It is not shocking, but they cannot make the acts, they cannot make the laws, but they can frame the guidelines towards the promotion of fundamental rights. This is known as judicial policy making. For some example, recently Supreme Court of India framed some guidelines against the sexual harassment of women at workplaces, as well as adoption of children by the foreign parents, and as well as related to the speedy trial of criminal cases. All these are happened under judicial policy making. Judicial policy making. That is the difference between judicial power and judicial policy making. But very frequently, we are hearing the case known as Keswananda Bharati. What is this case? Why this case became familiar? How this case is connected to judicial activism? Keswananda Bharati's case filed in the year 1970 before the Supreme Court of India, but the judgment passed in the year 1973. This case is related to the judicial activism. Means after this case, the term judicial activism became very familiar, because in this case, Supreme Court of India cleared that either the Parliament or the state legislature or any legislature cannot pass any law against the preamble of the Constitution of India or against the fundamental rights, or the law or the executive action cannot override the fundamental rights granted to the citizens by the Constitution of India. If such situation is there, the judiciary will not sit idle. It will use the weapon known as judicial activism. So, after the judgment passed in Keswananda Bharati, the term judicial activism became very familiar. Hence, Keswananda Bharati's case is relevant case and a connected case with the judicial activism. I explained to you about judicial review and judicial restraint and judicial activism, as well as the public interest litigation. Now, constitutionalism. What is this constitutionalism? Constitutionalism means spirit of constitution that commands respect from the rulers as well as ruled. That commands respect from the rulers as well as the ruled. It is called as constitutionalism and nothing more than that. Now, separation of powers. It means I don't want to spend more time on this separation of powers, because those who are preparing for civils, they will start their preparation from this separation of powers. Because separation of power means what are the powers of the legislature, what are the powers of the executive, and what are the powers of the judiciary. But In this separation of powers, you have to keep one thing in your mind. No organ should encroach the sector of the other organ. There is some limit. There is a line between each and every organ. By separating the powers between all these three organs. These are separation of powers. So, these are the relevant terms and expressions connected with this judicial activism. Now, what are the articles relevant or connected with this judicial activism means? Already I explained you that Article 13 as well as Article 44 and Article 142 and Article 32 and Article 226. Article 13, it is connected with judicial review. According to Article 13, the legislature cannot pass the law which overrides the fundamental rights, or the executive action cannot override the fundamental rights. Next, Article 32, seeking the judicial review, the affected person or means for his interest, or the person means public spirited person in the interest of the public can file a writ petition before the Supreme Court. Article 142, Article 44. Article 44, it is in part 4 and it is connected to Uniform Civil Code. I will explain you later when that topic comes. Next one is Article 142. Article 142 is connected with the powers of the Supreme Court. Means that will explain us about the idea of the framers of the Constitution of India. Why this article, means incorporated in the Constitution. Why that means unique powers has granted to the Supreme Court of India under Article 142. And the next one is Article 226. Either the affected person on behalf of his interest or in the interest of public can move the High Court. Article 32 related to Supreme Court, Article 226 related to High Court, seeking judicial review under the writ petition. These are the connected articles with this chapter, that is judicial activism. And the next one is relevant case laws. What are the relevant case laws? Case 1 on the Bharati's case, it is related to judicial activism. The judgment passed in this case in the year 1973, as well as Mumbai Kamagar Sabha versus Abdul Tai's case. It is related to public interest litigation. By this case, public interest litigation was introduced in the Supreme Court of India in 1976. And the next one is Ram Jethmalani versus Union of India's case. It is related to the role of judicial activism in unearthing black money. The judgment passed in this case in 2011, as well as Rupa Ashok Hurra versus Ashok Hurra's case. It is connected to curative petition, and the judgment passed in this case in 2002. In 2002, like that, different, as well as another case is also there, that is Sarala Mudgal versus Union of India's case. The judgment passed in this case in 1995, and it is also related to Uniform Civil Code. Like that, some important judgments are there connected to this judicial activism.